Greetings of a cheerful welcome, in our very own indigenous Choctaw language. Ayapanchi, Ichukwa. Welcome to FYI. Our, for your information, short video. Keep in mind, the question. What was the mental state of the creators of such a free white person status in the first place, and who were these unnatural people? This video is about how Aboriginal indigenous people accept foreign concepts as our own, outside of our true nature. These borrowed concepts of unnatural life destroys our uniqueness. When mentally accepting the foreign colonizers' system of governance, alongside their foreign language, laws/constitutions/acts, that regulate and control us against being ourselves, also the assigned foreign misnomers to define us, outside of our indigenous tongues, and imposition of foreign materialistic commercial form of religion of tax and economics, we developed a misguided reliance on a foreign system for survival and existence. Let's begin the definition of the term, free white person. Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, page 792. Start read. Free white persons referred to in the Naturalization Act, as amended by Act July 14, 1870, has meaning naturally given to it when first used in First Congress, Statutes at Large, page 103, chapter 3. Meaning all persons belonging to the European races, then commonly, or usually, counted as white and their descendants, including such descendants in other countries to which they have emigrated. It includes all European Jews, more or less, intermixed, races, with peoples of Celtic, Scandinavian, Teutonic, Iberian, Latin, Greek, and Slavic descent. It includes Magyars, Lapps, and Finns, and the Basques and Albanians. It includes the mixed Latin, Celtic Iberian, and Moorish inhabitants of Spain and Portugal, the mixed Greek, Latin, Phoenician, and North African inhabitants of Sicily, and the mixed Slav and Tartar inhabitants of South Russia. It does not mean Caucasian race, Aryan race, or Indo-European races, nor the mixed Indo-European, Dravidian, Semitic and Mongolian peoples who inhabit Persia. A Syrian of Asiatic birth and descent will not be entitled to become a naturalized citizen of the United States as being a free white person. Stop read. So, a free white person is a citizen of a foreign land who has qualified to become a United States corporate citizen subject, under the free white person construction. Before we get started on our review, and as a disclaimer, when Moorish teachings are referenced in this review, to be clear on our position, I, Nura, and Victor, Ibayanta, soulmate, are Aboriginal indigenous of the Choctaw and Creek race. Not Moor. Not Moorish. With that disclaimer, many learn from R.V. Bay Publications' Moorish website that reads, quote, "Knowing that the Aboriginal people of Europe, of the planet for that matter, are Moors, will help one to gain understanding as to why Moors claim free white persons, from a lawful standpoint, as it is not an identification from a pedigree standpoint. It is a legal status terminology. Hopefully it will put an end to any confusion regarding free white persons." End quote. More definitions. Naturalization. Quote, "The act of adopting a foreigner and clothing him with the privileges of native citizen. Collective naturalization. This takes place where a government, by treaty or cession, acquires the whole or part of the territory of a foreign nation and takes to itself the inhabitants thereof, clothing them with the rights of citizenship either by the terms of the treaty or by subsequent legislation." End quote. The United States Statutes at Large is the colonizers' permanent documented evidence of all laws enacted during congressional meetings. In 1790, requirements listed in their first Naturalization Act, page 103, chapter 3, stipulated qualifications to become a United States citizen. The applicant had to be, 1. An alien/foreigner. 2. The applicant must have resided in the United States colonies for 2 years, and 3. The applicant must be a free white person, as defined by their colonizer Congress. Look. Page 1769. White person means Caucasian race, as distinct from the black, red, yellow, and brown fictional race constructions enforced by the colonizers' constitution.
It's a legal status. Free white persons. Free white persons, quote unquote, referred to in Naturalization Act. And you must know the history, you must know Naturalization Act. Distinguished from nationalization. Alright?
Deception. As you can see, Moors teach to make us think that, quote, naturalization distinguished from nationalization, end quote, are the two methods to belong to a nation, when in fact, look at the two definitions below. Naturalization. The act of adopting a foreigner and clothing him with the privileges of native citizen. See Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition page 1178. Nationalization is the act of bringing property under control of the national government. Look, this nationalization has absolutely nothing to do with obtaining a nationality. See Etymology Dictionary. Now, nationality arises either by birth, naturally, or by naturalization, artificially by a process. See Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition page 1176. Therefore, nationality of the Aboriginal indigenous people of this land is the tribe that we were born into by blood, not some Moor or Moorish paperwork process, or claim that takes us out of our true nation by nature. However, if we want to bring property under the control of national government, mind you, this is how this foreign colonial system works, then, one would give his or her property over to the foreigner's nationalization process of property transfer.
As amended by Act July 14, 1870, Knights of Columbus Ku Klux Klan Oath, 1854, 1865, when the Europeans took on the title of white with the Whig-Moor parties, they wear wigs to imitate the Moors, they called the Whig-Moor party. Now they become the white party, and they took on the title of white that belonged to you. That's what Klan is all about. The uniform that they use belonged to you. Don't get it! Them uniforms are thousands of years old.
Look. All of this talk about the 1865 Ku Klux Klan, the British Whig-Moor political party, alongside the white title and thousands of year-old Ku Klux Klan clothes, allegedly belonging to the people, is all foreign bullcrap to the Aboriginal indigenous people of this land. That might be true for Moors across the Atlantic in Europe and Africa, but my ancestors didn't wear British curly white wigs, and definitely didn't wear Ku Klux Klan clothes. Rosmariah V. Bay's publications website is wrong when publicly exhibiting that free white person is not about pedigree, when in fact, pedigree means genealogical descent, or bloodline, and the etymology of race is people descended from a common ancestor. Therein, the United States colonizer government contended that the words free white person in the first Naturalization Act of 1790 was, and is, construed to mean whatever their definition of free white person is to mean. Definition: Federal Reporter is an edited compilation of U.S. federal court rulings and opinions, published by West Publishing. Look. The reader of these definitions and statutes must construe the statutes as they existed in 1790 pertaining to naturalization at that time, and then construe the revised 1870 statutes pertaining to naturalization at that time. The intention of the 1790 Act was to exclude from naturalization all alien races except those of the Caucasian races only. The United States nationality law transformed Northern and Western European immigrants into U.S. citizens, the primary source of emigration to the United States. White meant a person having origins in any of the original peoples of Europe, the Middle East, or North Africa, and any alien who possessed the qualifications described therein. Through the court process, they were admitted as a citizen of the United States. Stop confusing the people with misinformation. The goal for non-Caucasian/non-white people, as well as Caucasian people alike, was not to become a free white person, because no one can become what is commonly thought of as a white person. They had to already be commonly thought of as a white person, and of the various Caucasian races. In the 1790 Naturalization Act, if one was deemed already a white person, in accord with the colonizer United States Congress's pre-established formula for people of the Caucasian races, then that confirmed free white person is given what Congress called the privilege of naturalized United States citizenship. Remember, in 1790 only people considered white could become citizens of the United States. So, the goal for these people of the Caucasian races was not to become a free white person. However, the goal for these people was to pass the whiteness test, so they can naturalize. In the 1870 Naturalization Act, if one was deemed of African nativity, or of African descent, in accord with the colonizer United States Congress's pre-established formula for people of African nativity or of African descent, to be intermixed with free white persons. Once confirmed to be of African descent, that person is given what Congress called the privilege of naturalized United States citizenship. Remember, in 1870, the door to citizenship was opened for Africans, even though according to this federal reporter, Africans were savages of the dark continent, and less qualified as the red and yellow races who were left out of the naturalization process. So, the goal for these non-white people was to pass the of African descent test, to simply become naturalized United States citizens, not free white persons.
Anyway, further Naturalization Act, as amended by Act July 14, 1870, has meaning naturally given to it. And this is what it means in law. Free white person includes all European Jews more or less intermixed with peoples of Celtic, Scandinavian, Teutonic, Iberian, Latin, Greek, and Slavic descent. If they're not mixed, they can't be free white people.
Look carefully at the two legal definitions, free white person and African descent, side by side on the screen. Notice the mention of July 14, 1870 on both sides? Now look at the words under the free white person definition, that reads, quote, as amended by July 14, 1870? End quote. Amend means to change. The confusion is that the people don't realize that this definition is saying that the words, free white person, referred to in the 1790 Naturalization Act, has the same meaning as it did when first used. Meaning, the Caucasian, European races that are commonly thought of as being white people, still remains the same. But, the 1790 Naturalization Act was changed. Amended by the Act of July 14, 1870, that extended the privilege of naturalization to persons of African nativity, or of African descent. This change is the reason why the small print reads, quote unquote. It does not mean Caucasian race, etc., since free white person conferred the privilege of naturalization to only the Caucasian races, or persons of the white race, excluding all other non-whites. However, the amended 1870 Act, that makes the 1790 Act obsolete, extended naturalization to members of the Negro races of Africa or their descendants, intermixed with races that constitute free white persons. The key word is intermixed. Meaning, not all white anymore. See case law, Wadia v. United States, 101 F.2d7. Rules for a free white person's determination to become naturalized United States citizen. As written in the definition, 1 Stat. 103, Circa 3, that stands for, First Congress, Statutes at Large, page 103, 3rd chapter, is as follows. 1. The white male must be any alien. 2. He must be a free white person. 3. He must have resided within the limits and under the jurisdiction of United States colonization for the term of 2 years. 4. He must complete an application requesting to become a citizen to any common law court of record, in any one of the colonies where he resided for at least 1 year. 5. He must prove to the satisfaction of the court, that he is a person of good character. 6. He must take the oath or affirmation prescribed by law to support the Constitution of the United States. 7. After that, he must be considered as a citizen of the United States. Question: did anyone that claims to be a free white person go through this mandated process? Answer: don't think so. If you did, your application would be denied, because none of you are white by the definition of colonizer Congress. Non-whites and indentured servants could not acquire the status of citizen. As free white person, access to citizenship became more expansive after the Civil War, and over time. This leads us to the 1870 Naturalization Act that explicitly extended naturalization rights, already enjoyed by white immigrants, to all aliens of African nativity, of African descent, while denying the right to all other groups of non-whites, particularly Asians. Taj Tariq Bey teaches that our generational problems is about birthright theft, not race, which is half true, therefore, false. Rosmariah V. Bey's publications website is wrong when publicly exhibiting that free white person is not about pedigree, when in fact, pedigree means genealogical descent, or bloodline, and the etymology of race is people descended from a common ancestor. The procedure for persons of African nativity or of African descent determination, in order to become a naturalized United States citizen, relates to the revised racial limitation of naturalization, in the Act of July 14, 1870, ch. 254, Section 7, 16 Stat. 256. The procedure for of African descent determination for naturalization is the same for a free white person determination for naturalization, except there were some criminal elements added. 1. One must be an alien. 2. They must be of African nativity or African descent. 3. One must have resided within the limits and under the jurisdiction of United States colonization for the term of 5 years. 4. They must complete an application requesting to become a citizen to any common law court of record. 5. They must prove to the satisfaction of the court that they are persons of good character. 6. They must take the oath or affirmation prescribed by law to support the Constitution for the United States of America. If they knowingly swear or affirm falsely, it's deemed and taken to be perjury, and the person found guilty, and upon conviction be sentenced to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 5 years, and not less than 1 year, and pay a fine, not exceeding $1,000. 7. After that, they must be considered as a citizen of the United States. 8. Section 7 of the Act reads, and be it further enacted, that the naturalization laws are hereby extended to aliens of African nativity and to persons of African descent. 9. If one uses their certificate of naturalization granted by the court, was procured through fraud or by false evidence, or certificate of naturalization was issued by the clerk without any appearance and hearing of the applicant in court and without lawful authority, and any person who shall falsely represent himself to be a citizen of the United States, without having been duly admitted to citizenship, or for any fraudulent purpose whatever, is in trouble. No one wants involuntary servitude, as enforced by the colonizer's constitution. Aboriginal indigenous people of this land, now called the Americas, who think they are Moors. It must be remembered, that the goal of these immigration acts, was not to become a free white person. The goal was to become a naturalized citizen in accord with the colonizers' system of migrating whomever they wanted, when they wanted, of their people on indigenous land. This information is what so-called master teachers failed to disclose. This negligence in failure to disclose, misleading, and misinformation is what causes people to get in serious predicaments and confinement. In conclusion, for now, anyone with any amount of expansion of their awareness gives very little thought to having a free white person title fiction, or any title given by some foreigner, for that matter. Look, Moors can claim free white person status all they want, because this is one thing they didn't lie about. They are literally saying that they are indeed foreign migrants that left their own home country, colonized, and naturalized as United States corporate citizen subjects on stolen lands of the indigenous Aborigine. Question: how can anyone speak so badly in opposition to naturalization, yet claim it, however, erroneously, all at the same time? Answer: the documentation and sources in this video makes it self-evident. Question: how can Moors be both United States citizen subjects under the colonizer's free white person status, and be sovereign, all at the same time? Answer: point blank. They do a lot of pretending. But they cannot. Beloved mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles, and cousins. A warning to be wise. Whomever you are, and whomever you think that you are, carefully read to double-check, triple-check, any paperwork that anyone has given you to write your name on, and make for sure that you are not being tricked, like the United States corporate operators do, in their constitutions, treaties, trusts, proclamation contracts, into coercing you into unintentionally transferring your property over to some government fiction entity operators, under the misleading process of nationalization, as it was taught to us, instead of leaving your possessions to your children and other loved ones. Because, beloveds, once you have crossed over, there is nothing that you can do about the deception.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session.
I can't prove it, but I was told I am a Moor, standing before you in your colonizing court. Part and parcel to the Moorish Empire, even though it doesn't exist anymore. It fell, and ended in 1492. You are on my land, even though I came from somewhere else. You know, my first house. The land of Moab. And then, we went to Carthage seeking new homes, and was called phoneticians. And then, I went to Africa, seeking new homes, when it first started as a tiny Roman colony, you know, over there, around the Mediterranean Sea area over there. And then, seeking new homes, me and some other Berbers hooked up with some Arabs. We invaded Europe on the Iberian Peninsula, seeking new homes. And even though we converted to Christianity, like they told us to, but we still got kicked out. And now, I'm here, seeking new homes. I'm a free white person. See, Exhibit A. My free white person card?
Nigga. Please. What in, Sam Hill? Incompetent. If you mean, the 1790 Naturalization Act, you didn't go through the process to become a naturalized United States citizen subject, and in these parts, that is a colonizer crime, in Section 999, Chapter 4 gazillion and 18 of our de facto Fruit of the Poisonous Tree Codes. And you are not of the European/Caucasian races commonly thought of as white. Your family tree says that you are an indigenous aborigine of this land, so, you don't even meet requirements of Act 1870 being of African Nativity or of African descent. And, you are certainly not one of our desired profitable foreign emigrant free white persons of Act 1790. Bailiff, I order you, lickety split. Arrest him. Godspeed. Court adjourned.
Ouch, huh? I'll show that de facto Albion, fellow Negro colonizer man, huh? Judge Matthew Joe Black. He ain't got no jurisdiction on me. 5 years from now, on my next court date, I'll make a free white person citizen challenge of jurisdiction.
Yeah. We gonna do him in, up there tryin' to be off free white person against his own kind. Yeah man. That dude ain't no white of no Caucasian no European races of folk. Shoot, we could, shank the pee outta him. What y'all think we gonna do?
Shoot, them dudes ain't shanking the pee out of me. cause I ain't not free white person. Huh. I'm OUT out. I'm out.
Kechi Hila Anchimaka. I love you, Mother Earth.